This woman is Karen Reed, and she stands accused of killing her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe. On the surface, the case appears straightforward. A woman, a fight, a snowy night, a dead police officer found outside a home. But beneath that surface is a case so tangled, so emotionally charged, and so fiercely contested that it has divided families, communities, law enforcement, and even jurors. This is not just a story about what happened on one winter night. It is a story about trust, about power, about what happens when the people tasked with uncovering the truth become part of the controversy themselves. And at the center of it all is a question that still has no answer. What really happened to John O'Keefe? Who were Karen Reed and John O'Keefe?
In one angry message, Karen told John she hated him.
Words prosecutors would later highlight as evidence of a deteriorating relationship and possible motive. But arguments alone do not explain a death. For that, investigators focused on one night, the night of January 28, 2022. On the evening of January 28, 2022, Karen Reed and John O'Keefe went out drinking with friends. It was winter, snow was falling, roads were slick. After visiting one bar, the group decided to continue the night at an after-party hosted at the home of another Boston police officer in Canton, Massachusetts. Karen drove John in her SUV. What happened next is where the case fractures into two completely different versions of reality. The prosecution's theory. According to prosecutors, Karen dropped John off outside the house shortly after midnight. They allege that she attempted a three-point turn, struck John with her vehicle, and drove away, leaving him injured and unconscious in the snow. Hours later, John O'Keefe was found outside the home, unresponsive. He had suffered blunt force trauma to the head and hypothermia. He was pronounced dead shortly after being taken to the hospital. Prosecutors argue that physical evidence supports this theory. A cracked taillight on Karen's SUV, broken glass near the scene, and Karen's blood alcohol level, which was later found to be well above the legal limit. At the scene, Karen was described as hysterical. Some witnesses claim she repeatedly said, "I hit him."
Others said they were unsure what exactly she said or when she said it.
The prosecution argued that those words were an admission. And based on that theory, Karen Reed was charged with second-degree murder. But almost immediately, questions emerged. From the very beginning, aspects of the investigation raised concerns. One of the people who attended the after-party reportedly searched online for information about dying in the cold. Prosecutors said the search happened after John was found. The defense argued it happened hours earlier, before anyone knew John was missing. Then there were the injuries. Defense experts later testified that some of John's wounds appeared inconsistent with being struck by a vehicle. They questioned the pattern of trauma. They questioned the absence of certain injuries typical in pedestrian vehicle collisions. And they raised another possibility entirely: the defense's explosive claim. The defense did not argue that the case was weak. They argued something far more serious. They claimed Karen Reed was being framed. According to the defense, something went wrong inside that house during the after-party. They alleged that John O'Keefe was injured during a physical altercation, possibly involving people connected to law enforcement. They claimed his body was later placed outside, and they argued that Karen, an outsider, not a police officer, became the easiest person to blame. It was a theory that shook the case to its core, because it suggested not just a mistake, but a cover-up.
Public reaction and growing division. As the case moved forward, public attention exploded. Supporters of Karen Reed rallied outside the courthouse wearing pink. Online communities dissected every document, every photograph, every testimony. Some believed Karen was clearly guilty. Others believed she was the victim of a deeply flawed investigation. The case became more than a legal battle. It became a cultural one. The investigator controversy. Then came a revelation that would fundamentally alter how many people viewed the case. The lead investigator was exposed for sending vulgar, hostile text messages about Karen Reed during the investigation. Messages that mocked her, insulted her appearance, and even suggested he hoped she would harm herself. For many observers, this was devastating, because regardless of guilt or innocence, it raised serious questions about bias. Can an investigation be trusted when the lead investigator appears openly hostile toward the defendant? The defense argued this proved tunnel vision. The prosecution acknowledged the messages were inappropriate, but insisted the evidence still spoke for itself. The trial. In April 2024, the trial began. Over the course of weeks, jurors heard two entirely different stories. One side painted Karen Reed as a drunk, angry girlfriend who struck her boyfriend and fled. The other portrayed her as a convenient scapegoat in a system protecting its own. Experts disagreed. Witnesses contradicted each other. Timelines blurred. And the jury was left with reasonable doubt or certainty, depending on who you asked. The verdict that never came. After months of testimony, the jury deliberated, and then they reached an impasse. In July 2024, the judge declared a mistrial. No conviction, no acquittal, just uncertainty. Karen Reed remains charged. John O'Keefe remains dead, and the truth remains elusive. Where the case stands now. As of now, the case remains unresolved. A retrial remains possible. The evidence remains the same, but the public's trust in the process has been deeply shaken. Because this case isn't just about a single night. It's about whether the justice system can function fairly when those involved are connected by loyalty, power, and shared institutions. Final reflection. In true crime, we often look for villains and victims, but sometimes the most unsettling cases are the ones where certainty never arrives. A police officer is dead. A woman stands accused, and a community is divided over what justice even looks like. In the end, the question isn't just what happened to John O'Keefe. It's whether the system designed to uncover the truth was capable of finding it at all. And until that question is answered, this case remains unfinished.
That's another case closed here in the Rotten Swamp. The truth always surfaces, no matter how deep it's buried. If you're hungry for more dark mysteries, hit subscribe and ring that bell. Until next time, keep your doors locked and your secrets buried deeper than mine. This is Rotten Swamp, where justice never rots.